Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a Vanguard versus Celestial matchup. This is going to be versus Dinkle. He's a nice guy. We played quite a bit, and so we've kind of become acquaintances, and we're going to be on Boneyard today. So starting out, I'm going to be going for my expansion first. I'm trying to move through the content as quickly as I can that I have pre-recorded so that when the time comes that I reach the current balance patch, I'll be able to give more accurate information. So again, this is not the current meta, this is a little bit old, but if the balance patch reverts the changes to the creep camps, this will actually probably go back to the meta play, so it's not entirely useless. I'm going to have a bit of a struggle here getting only 4 to actually go, but I'm going to be going for my CC first, and as per usual, I'm just sending the dog out to poke, and I'm grabbing the health plants as I need. You can see earlier I did grab one of the ones while I was fighting him, and then he used the skull, so I'm just going to go grab the other health plant and go right back out. From here I'm going to go take a look. Just need to confirm that he's actually expanded, or if he's going for units I need to throw down a barracks right away. So I see he just put down a vault just a second ago. His Hexen's going to recall home. I'm going to try and get a bit more damage in on that actually. This is very dangerous. Poking in the mineral line, you can see me going back in and out because if he selects all his imps and attacks, it's about 80 damage that he could deal in one volley with all the imps. Imps have a ranged fireball attack, 8 each, and if he's got 10 workers on there, that's 80 damage or so. And so you got to be very careful. I'm actually going to mess up and lose this. I was poking him a little too long, and I know I'm going to lose him to the infest, so I just try and run it into the corner to buy me a few more seconds before that fiend can go and do anything. This was when the skull was still bugged, and it did 50 damage, which was pretty absurd, honestly. So, it was a bug, so it's not a big deal, but I'm going to lose my dog over that. Just building my barracks, and once I have built my barracks at some point during production, I'm going to transfer 5 to Therium, same as normal, just kind of the standard routine, and then I'm going to be going into my biokinetics lab. I'm actually going to remake my dog. It died too early. If your dog is alive for quite a while, till maybe 7 or 8 minutes, and then it dies, you're fine to skip it, but because my dog died early, there's a lot of stuff he could do, and I'm going to be going without information for too long, and I'm not very comfortable with that, so I'm just going to be remaking it, and just continuing my worker production, always making workers. That's the most important thing. I keep saying it in every video. You have to be making workers at all times. So I'm just going to be queuing up more workers. And now that my biokinetics lab is done, I'm just going to be hanging out, and I'm going to be starting exo production, and soon enough I'll be adding that 2nd and 3rd barracks. On his side of the map, he's just got his one Hexen and Fiend just sitting at home. He didn't use that Fiend to scout. But I'm going to be taking a look in there. I see he's got some imps. He's making more. That one just showed up. And so I'm free to keep going with my macro. And I don't have to worry about an attack. There's going to be nothing coming for a while. So I'm queuing up those exos. And I'm just going to try and prevent my supply block. I see the army here. I see he's going for a creep camp. The demons very rudely shoot my dog instead of the big scary demons. And so, I'm going to have to send that out and go heal him. I've seen his army, and I can fight it, so I'm not super worried, but I am going to start throwing down my 2nd and 3rd barracks now that I have enough resources, and I'm going to keep trying to make workers. I made those probably a little early. I should have 2 workers going at this point, but I'm going to make the workers right after, so it's not a big deal. And I'm just continuing my exo production here, nothing too interesting. Anytime they take a camp, it's very good to send the dog to try and go immediately take it back. Those camps give passive buffs in addition to the active ones, so it's always good to give it a shot. He's going to send 2 fiends. I'm just going to contest it. I'm just going to force him to keep those there, and his whole army is actually going to come back to try and kill the dog because he can see that, and so I'm just going to run away and have him chase me around a little. And I'm going to go right back in once he's stopped chasing me to try and be annoying. I've got now all 3 of my barracks making exos, and I'm going to be moving out with a pretty light attack. I don't plan to get too much done here. I'm just going to be rallying across the map while I go, and I'm going to be going up into my tier 2. Like I said, typically you want to start making your tier 2 when you've got full saturation on one of your bases. I'd like to add a caveat to that. You can also just make it when you're starting to move out. That's not a bad call, because it'll be finishing pretty much right as the fight hits. You never want to be fighting without tier 2 in an ideal world, and so I'm going to start that right away, even though I only have 11 workers on. See, back at home, I'm queuing up more workers on that side. Even though I'm nearly full, I'm going to make more than enough workers so I can get a third base very easily. And I'm just kind of hanging out, waiting for that tier 3. I'm going to poke in and do a bit of scouting and all that. And here I go. I'm just going to be poking in and poking back out. I'm going to use the dog's howl ability. He's got quite the army here. But I've got predominantly exos, so I'm just going to be kind of kiting and seeing if I can't get any damage. And this is before Gaunt speed is done, and so I'm free to be doing this.
Capture point lost.
He's going to throw down the super stone and kill one of my exos and get quite a bit of damage. He's also going to take out my dog, and it's at this point that my tier 2 is done, and so I'm going to be cutting backwards. He's actually on the offensive, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to hit the shield, and I'm going to promote these guys. He's actually going to just ignore the Lancer and run by. This is the correct play. But my reinforcements are coming up, and that's quite a bit of damage that he's sustaining, so he's going to back up a little, and the kiting game's just going to continue. Shoot and run. I'm going to be trying to focus the Gaunts whenever I can. That Exo promotes to tier 3 naturally there, and at that point I'm going to back out. Most of my Exos are pretty heavily damaged, and you can't lose them. If you lose that little clump, you're going to lose the game, for sure. So it's better to just back out. I'm going to take the healing camp, heal them up, and restart my fighting and do something else. So you can see there, I'm just heading back. I'm actually going to grab the watch camp first, I believe, because it gives some resources. Yeah, so I'm going to have them shoot and have them tank, and I'm going to grab that extra 100 Luminite, because it's pretty good. Now I'm going to head over to the health camp and grab the health camp and heal everybody up. Still producing workers, and I'm going to take my third base behind this. On 3 bases, we're going to be going up to 5 barracks once I kind of get that up and running. Just making sure I'm not going to be supply blocked. So I'm adding an additional depot. And one of my Exos who was in the earlier fight gets picked off. I couldn't believe that. As you saw, I was kind of mousing over that. I'm not sure why they decided to focus that one, but it's whatever. Now my Exos are going to heal up, and I'm just going to be adding that additional barracks. Those additional 2 barracks, as I talked about, we're going up into 5 barracks play now. I'm going to move my Exos across the map now that they're fully healed.
Our forces are under attack.
And very soon I'm going to be looking to go up into tier 3 when I can, but first I'm going to get that Lancer upgrade. And on my third base you can see I made a sentry post. That's the shutdown options. Remember, we always want to shut down enemy options, and one of the options is a Fiend run by to counterattack that base. And so sending an Exo to make a flak turret is going to completely shut that down and prevent us from, jeopardizing our game state, which we're in a good spot. We traded good early and all that sort of stuff. We've got a nice Exo ball with a couple tier 2s and a tier 3, and so we're looking pretty good. I'm going to come up and start attacking his thing. Anytime Hexens are placing mines, they're highly susceptible, but that also means likely mines are already out. And so, as you can see, it's totally worth it to just sacrifice that guy just to get those that extra bit of, I'm just blowing up the mines. That's what that play is. And it's totally worth sacrificing a unit or 2 or 3 to make sure that happens. I'm actually just running around first with the Lancer and trying to provide some space for the Exos so that they don't get hit. It's a splash damage ability, and so if you get hit by that, your Exos are going to die really quickly. I'm going to be adding a depot there just to make sure I don't get supply blocked. I'm actually kind of running full force into the 2 of these turrets here, which isn't great. But I'm going to take them out from the low ground, so that's not the worst thing. His army's going to come up from behind. One of my med techs actually spots it, and so my med techs are going to be separated from my army. But I'm just going to be kiting and running and attacking along the way. I'm going to pop the shield and leave my Lancers behind. Remember, we don't micro Lancers, we only micro Exos. And so my Lancer's going to stay there and sustain a bunch of damage, but that's okay, because my Exos got most of the job that they were assigned to do. I'm going to save that Lancer's life by getting the health kit, and he actually popped a Super Stone here to I don't know, try and do some additional damage, but I'm just going to pick it off right away because I could grab it from the low ground. Most of my Lancers are dead now, so I'm going to be on the retreat. I do have a medtech here, and I'm going to promote my Exos because I notice his numbers are dwindling quickly. He's got not that many Gaunts and just a couple Hexens. Hexens, remember, only do 8 damage. They're spellcasters predominantly. I'm going to run into a mine, which is going to be pretty devastating. It's going to deal a lot of damage, and all my units are infested. But I'm going to keep on the offensive because I do see he's lacking in the unit count pretty severely here. My Exos are actually going to pick off the building from the low ground, and I'm going to have too much Exos for him to deal with. And so that's going to win us the game and move us from 1411 to 1456. Okay, welcome to game 2. I actually started the recording late on this one, so we're going to be getting right into it. And I actually received a message from Top. He was looking for me to help him do some prep for the upcoming tournament he was going to. And that would be the Tasteless Showdown. And so I was happy to help. And he was kind of starting out from, this is kind of the first practice he was getting for the wave, and so you saw there he's inquiring about if it was a 4-player map or not, and he was also asking about some builds and strategies and stuff, so I was trying my best to help him out. Starting out, we're going to be going for Hedgehogs. This was before the dog meta completely set in, and we were going for some Hedgehog play. So I'm going to go for 1 base Hedgehog, just like he is, and I'm going to be pushing across the map here with mine because I went for very quick Hedgehogs and cut some workers, and so my production is just a little bit ahead of his. We're going to be trading out Hedgehogs, and anytime one is low HP, I'm just going to pull it back, just like that. And I'm just going to bring them home and repair them, and he's going to probably go and do the same. If you ever get into a Hedgehog war, similar to a dog war, the most important thing is once you've got the minimum amount of workers that you need, which you can see there, the Hedgehog, oh my goodness, it bothers me so much. You see it just sliding around like that? Like, bro, just stay still. And look at the Bob. What is he doing there? Stop walking around. Get to work, dude. Okay, whatever. Once you've got the bare minimum of workers, it's all about having constant production on. And so you want to make sure you never get supply blocked, and you want to make sure you always have at least 1 Hedgehog in production. So I'm going to be continuing making workers because I am eventually planning to move up to a 2nd base. Typically when you go for Hedgehog wars, you can go for a 2nd base. It's a fine idea. And I'm going to be taking the speed camp here because Hedgehogs with speed are much better with than Hedgehogs without speed. I'm just going to have the dog tank because that's not a big deal if he does. And I'm going to grab that. And then I'm going to move across the map a little bit here. I'm going to be going up into my tier 2 very soon here. I'm just making a few more workers. Tier 2 very important, so that you can get that promote and stuff. And I actually spot his dog over here. And with that speed camp, I'm going to be able to catch it, and I'm going to get a free pick. That's pretty important. The dog ends up tanking a lot of damage in the fight if you move it up front. And so having it kind of as a free kill is very nice. With my additional workers that I was making, I'm going to go expand, and very soon after I'm going to go up into tier 2. Hedgehogs do bonus versus armored, and these creeps are actually armored themselves, and so you can see I kill it really quickly, and that's going to secure me an additional 100 for my Hedgehog production. And I'm just going to be kind of scouting around the map and seeing what I can do. I was actually looking for a health fruit there, but there isn't one, so it's not a big deal. Just going to be kind of moving my units around. I actually salvaged my barracks earlier, and so I'm not going to be going up into tier 2 until I get that back. I kind of forgot that had happened, but right after you saw I was hovering it. That's because I'm going to be going up into that as soon as possible. I was counting his Hedgehogs there. I have more, and so I'm fine to push forward, and he's going to back out, and I'm going to reclaim this right away. I also have that dog that I mentioned, and that dog's going to be tanking 5 to 6 missiles, which is, quite a lot. Now that I've got the camp, I always want to make sure my units have speed on them. So I'm going to be going back to the speed camp, and anytime I'm moving out on the map, if he has a speed camp and I don't, and I start to lose the fight, there's no escaping. So you always want to make sure you have that speed camp available to you, and that you're using it as much as you can. So again, I'm going to be kind of counting in my head if I have enough, and I think I do, so I'm going to be pulling a fight. terrible micro. The hedgehogs just, they slide around everywhere. And this is exactly what I was talking about. I have more, and I have the speed cap, and he doesn't, and so I was able to get a free hedgehog that he wasn't able to. On my end, I'm going to be adding additional workers, and you can see my tier 2 is in progress there. And I'm just going to repair the ones that were damaged. I already took a good trade and got an extra hedgehog that he didn't, and I already know I was up in production compared to him previously, so I'm probably quite a bit ahead. That biokinetics lab is actually from medtechs. I'm going to be going into medtechs with my hedgehogs so that I can nanoswarm them. That extra HP is very good. I'm actually at 100 energy here. I'm floating that, so I'm going to promote my units right there. Perfect. And I typically like to go straight up into tier 3 or promote them to tier 2. Usually you don't want to spread it out tier 1 a bunch of times. It's not as good because the hedgehogs can just get picked off pretty quickly. With my pretty sure I've got a numbers advantage, I'm just going to try and bust the ramp here. And it's not going to go well. I had some pretty bad micro. The speed camp stuff is pretty hard to deal with. And he popped the shield, so a lot of my units were focusing the wrong things. And I was also trying to fight up a ramp, so he had a better arc. But I'm going to be taking a bit of a fight here. And I'm going to lose the trade pretty hard. But I'm on the run. He doesn't have the speed camp, so it's not a big deal. And I'm just going to head back home. I've got the Vulcan now. I made a Vulcan because sometimes Vulcans are good in the Hedgehog mirror because Hedgehogs are light and Vulcans do bonus versus light, and so it's not a terrible idea to get one. I'm also going to be getting a defensive sentry post to heal up my Bobs because I took a pretty big loss there. I'm going to be adding my second mech bay now because I need additional production. And I'm just going to heal up those workers. I'm going to be turning off the heal from the medtech so that she's not healing herself during the fight, and I can cast those nanoswarms. And I'm going to transfer some additional workers to Therium because I was kind of lacking in it. You can see there my Therium count compared to my Luminite is very low, and so I'm just going to be adding in those additional ones.
Insufficient Therium.
Just making additional hedgehogs here, and I'm going to take my third base because I have enough money for it, and my worker count's not great. I was slacking a little on the workers, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to charge up the gun a little bit. I'm pretty sure I killed that monster, but okay, now it's dissolving. It looked like it didn't die for the first little bit. And now I've got my medtech with 2 nanoswarms available, so I'm going to get that healing, and I'm going to make some additional ones.
Not enough Luminite.
The reason I'm not out on the map is because I took a bad trade previously. And the Vulcan is it's a very slow unit, it's a very defensive unit, unless you reach the other side of the map, where you kind of force them to fight. And so I'm just going to kind of have to stay at home while I wait for my army to build up enough to where I'm satisfied with it, and then I can move out with all of it. So I'm going to move out with my Vulcan leading the charge. It's going to be up front because it has the most HP and it does the most tanking. Followed by my medtechs, and then my hedgehogs I'm going to be microing separately. I'm going to have them kind of roam around. I was kind of looking at the XP there to see how much XP I needed for the rank up, and so I'm just going to rank that guy up. I just decided it was probably worth it because I was going to see if he was going to naturally promote himself, but he's not. I'm going to go steal this speed camp here so that I have it during the fight, but I actually noticed his Luminite camp right above that got taken, and so here comes the fight, and I'm actually going to do offensive nanoswarms, and my shield is too late. That was really detrimental to the fight, I wasn't able to get the shield off in time, and my Vulcan died. So I'm going to be in full retreat now, and I casted some offensive nanoswarms, so you can see all of his guys are pretty low HP, but he has his own nanoswarms, obviously, and so he's going to be able to heal that up pretty easily. Typically, a little tip is, you can either use them offensively, you can use a few offensively, but then typically you want to use them defensively. And if your opponent is using them offensively, you would just want to cast Nanoswarm on the same unit that is negatively debuffed, and it'll turn it into the positive one. So they cast it, and then you do, and it'll cancel out to be positive. I'm going to build another Vulcan and keep him defensively postured here, because I'm back on the run. I was actually looking at the ability there because I was kind of confused why he died. I didn't know in the update 10% of the damage went through. That shows my game knowledge, but now I do, and so that I won't make that mistake again. But it's already too late. This medtech has no energy, and he's got significantly more hedgehogs. And even with the Bob repair turret and me pulling my workers, he's just going to focus that down. And you can see he's going to kind of crush me. So even though he hadn't played in a whole bunch of time and I was helping him out, he was still able to completely dismantle me. And that's going to be the game. Thanks for watching.